Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video, and yeah, let's get into it. Thank you all the members, all the patrons, all the subscribers. Make sure to subscribe. We are trying to hit 50,000 subscribers until the end of the year. And let's talk about the MLD. So yeah, the MLD, we didn't do a video yet on it, and it received, also with the MLA as well, they both received the R-60M, and I wanted to make a video talking a little bit about it and how it's performing right now. There were some talks that Gaijin is considering in the future, not right now, obviously, to add the R-73 to both the MiG-29 and the MiG-23. So yeah, let's take a look on that as well to see if it actually needs to be buffed even more. I think there is a major problem with the MiG-23 is that it is 11.3, man. It needs to be 11.7 in my opinion. Sometimes, I mean, not all the times, it's like 1 or 2 battles each, I don't know, each like 10 maybe, that you get a down tier. But once you get a down tier, man, you will destroy everybody. So yeah, facing F5s and J35s and, you know, MiG-21 SMTs and MFs with a MiG-23 MLD is kind of too OP, and I can put on that account as well the F-14. The F-14 also needs to be a higher BR. The MLA, I think, as well. There's multiple aircraft that needs to be 11.7. That will help a lot the matchmaking. The Mirage 2000, maybe the... I think the Vegan is already, I have to check, but still... these aircraft, they need to be 11.7, man. They're just too good. And I was actually playing a lot of MiG-29 in the last couple of days. And going back to the MiG-23 with a radar that actually works properly, it's such a good feeling, man. It locks it and it doesn't lose lock for anything. And the R-24s, they have basically the same energy as the normal R-27R, so... oh, it's such a cool aircraft. And together with the R-60Ms, finally the R-60Ms, if you remember, this was one of my major things that I didn't like about flying the MLD, is that I had to actually use the very old and early 70s R-60s on a 1980s aircraft. And it was very weird that you didn't have an all-aspect R-60 because the normal MiG-23 already had it, the M version, right? So it was very weird. So on that sense, it just makes it a lot easier. Remember, obviously, the R-60M is not a perfect missile. It does like flares, but to be honest, I've been playing everything, man. MiGs and F-16s and F-14s and everything. And I can say for sure that the A9L is also going for a lot of flares, especially in head-ons and stuff. So I actually did a video before the patch even talking a little bit about that, if you actually have a doctrine of only using these missiles in a kind of rear aspect shots only, you will get a lot more kills, because in all aspects, even though they are very good and they can actually lock in an all aspect situation, normally it will mean that you ended up losing it. Maybe even if it's good, an all aspect shot, it will make it miss. Once we get the A9M and the R-73 with proper IRCCM, like more 80s kind of technology, right? It will make it a lot better. But right now, you do have to be careful with that. But on the code aspect side of things, it is both of these missiles, but the R-60 as well, the R-60M. It can maintain the target pretty well, depending on the target that it is, depending on the distance. I would say that if you shoot from below 1 kilometer, it happens a lot, at least for me, depending on the aircraft, that the missile will go for the flare a little bit and then returns to the target, and it goes for a little bit of the flare and it returns for the target, and eventually it kills the enemy, right? Especially in like F-14s and stuff like that. So do mind on that. It is an aircraft, a missile that has IRCCM in game, but it is a very limited one. So rear aspect shots are the ones that actually matter for the IRCCM, right? But anyway, and this is confirmed by the developers. You know, a lot of people say, oh, it's not real IRCCM because it's the gate or whatever. For the developers, they already said that it is an R-60M, but a very old one, and it doesn't change too much. Basically changes only the FOV, if I'm not mistaken, on the files, and the gate of the IR seeker, if I'm not mistaken, but it doesn't change much of the seeker itself, right? It's not ignoring flares, it's just decreasing the capabilities of it being, I mean, basically seeing the flares, right? So yeah, but and apart from that, everything else is basically the same. The R24s are still amazing. I think that the tactics are changing a lot on especially on the Russian side of the things here. There's an effect caused by the many F-16s flying and the many F-14s flying and the not so many MLDs and the MiG-29s flying around, that red teams, in a general sense, they are having troubles with the amount of BVR that we face. So it is kind of problematic because you're facing a lot of aircraft that have a lot of BVR, but you do need to be careful just in the way that you are flying, because if you actually climb with this aircraft, you will probably get killed by the amount of missiles. It's not even that the aircraft are worse, it's just that there are so many missiles coming to you that you're not going to be able to evade like 6 missiles between Phoenixes and M7s. And there's so many F-16s and F-14s shooting that it is problematic, right? Here we have an example of a down tier for you to see. Yeah, very easy battle to actually destroy everybody. But continuing on my topic is that the tactics are changing due to the fact of the numbers of aircraft that are coming on the BVR arena, right? So we really do need to be careful on that. I tend to try, even with the MiG-29, I tend to try to maintain like initially a medium altitude of 2,000, 3,000. It's pretty low, but still. And then I fire one of the missiles. This is just to help with the missiles, a little bit of less air for it to actually face, right? So yeah, just climb a little bit, fire one of the missiles from far away, like 20 kilometers, 15 if it's the R-24, for example, 20, 25 if it's the R-27ER, and I just go down and fly very low. That way, you are safe from the shots from Phoenixes and other aircraft. Remember, even in these pulse-Doppler radars, if the radio waves and bouncing back from the ground are they're so high because you're flying low, they're so high, it makes the missile actually be overwhelmed with the amount of radio waves bouncing there. So it is one of the tactics that you can actually use against, especially F-14s and stuff like that. You do need to be careful because the Phoenix, for example, it is a missile that it can get close to you and actually destroy you just by the blast, because it's basically a bomb. It's a very large missile, right? So yeah, it's something that you have to be careful, but it is one of the tactics that I'm using. It is working far better than actually trying to fly high and actually getting people from a high altitude BVR situation when flying with Russians, okay? When flying with the Soviets, just due to the fact of the amount of F-16s and F-14s. Once we get the MiG-29A, for example, for the Germans, maybe the Tornadoes of ADV, and for Italy and the UK, so more BVR capable machines, right? We might see some effects like missiles and high altitude flying being a little bit better, because you're not going to be alone trying to do that. That's the main thing. You're always alone flying high. You're always with 2 or 3 guys flying high, and then against 8, 10 F-16s and F-14s that are sometimes flying high and fire missiles. It is not a very effective and fun way to actually fly. So try to fly low. It helps a lot. You will feel that, especially the MiG-29, if you are feeling that the MiG-29 is lacking a little bit, it's probably due to the tactics. I will be doing a video on that, but the MiG-23 MLD kind of fits on that meta as well. Remember, the objective of the MiG-23 MLD, it is basically the same as the MiG-29, right? It's a point defense interceptor. So you have 2 missiles, radar missiles. It's supposed to fly fast intercept targets and be able to dogfight if needed, as kind of a light fighter as well. So you do need to be careful with the BVR, but beyond that, we can win basically any dogfight. It is normally very difficult to find 1v1s in this game, like this one, for example, the J35, and even with it, I'm having to just evade the A system. So yeah, even there, it's not a proper 1v1, right? So even though you will lose in a 1v1 against an F-16, for example, depending on fuel consumption and stuff like that, because I tested with a friend and the MLD with minimal fuel, it can beat the F-16, but beyond that, it is, if they have the same amount of fuel or anything like that, it can be something fairly difficult to do, right? And with that, you can actually, you know, consider that, be careful with dogfights as well. It's not a MiG-29, but you can and you will beat them normally, because 1v1s are very difficult to actually face, right? So yeah, here was an example of the R-60M. Depends on the aircraft and the power. If the target doesn't take off the power, it will get destroyed by the R-60M. It's not a perfect missile, but it is amazing. It does turn more than the AIM-9L, especially at first, but it has its problems in range and flare resistance as well. So it's a different type of missile made for close range dogfighting. So use it as one. Don't try to fire from above 2 kilometers. You will miss a lot of shots. Okay, guys? Get out there, test the MLD, amazing aircraft, and I see you guys on the next one. So bye, guys. See ya. Subscribe.